Good morning everybody, it is Jack the Intrepid Train Traveller, and today, as you can see, I'm here at a canal lock. It will not be the railways I'll be travelling along, or remote country paths. It's going to be this very canal, the Grand Union Canal. I'm here at the bottom lock near Stoke Bruerne, and on this very icy, cold, pristine blue sky day, so cold the canal has well and truly frozen over, I should be going all the way to Long Buckby. So join me on my trip over a tunnel and along the canal, past marinas, maybe seeing it slightly melt, all the way to Long Buckby. So I've now reached Stoke Bruerne village itself. You can see back there are some work boats and some works in the lock going on. There were back at the bottom lock, they're doing all three locks, completely rebuilding them. Also here, not only are there two pubs, but there's also the Canal Museum I went to the other day. And also back there and along here, loads of day trip boats that just go up and down the canal, but not as far as we're going. I feel like the canal frozen over shows its colours the most for the sunken boats. You'd see that a lot clearer if it was still liquid, but frozen, it just looks a little more poetic, even though it shouldn't have sunk in the first place. Now here in front of me, as you can see, the path divides. Up there on my left, that is where a tramway used to run. It used to go all the way up into the forest and over what is now the Blissworth Tunnel. This operated before the tunnel opened, and on my right there is still going along the canal to the tunnel. But then finally this tunnel opened, 11 years in the making, right next to the ironmongers. But yeah, this tunnel finally connected the north and south bits of this canal stretching from London to Birmingham. I made the tram road running up there, which I'm now going to walk along, redundant. So because there is no towpath through the Blissworth Tunnel, what I'm walking along now is the Boat Horse Road. And because again, the horses, before the days of engines on canal boats, horses used to tug them, because the horses of course couldn't go through the canal. What would happen is, whilst there was no longer a tram road here, because the cargo didn't need to go along here, the children of the canal boaters would take the horses along this track, whilst the parents on the canal boat would go into the deep dark abyss of the tunnel and with their feet, what they call leg the boat along the tunnel walls, drifting it through the 3 kilometers of pitch black to the other side. And then you finally reach a glimpse of the remnants of what superseded the canals not long after. So behind me here is the old ruins of a bridge along the railway from Northampton, breaking off the West Coast Main Line at Road, to Banbury via Towcester. It went right over this path, but unfortunately closed in 1969. As I'm sure many of you know, here in Britain, there is not so much will from the government, but definitely will from people to reopen a lot of these old railways. I think this would be a fantastic one to reopen. But alas, it isn't just railways they're attempting to reopen or open new ones of. It's canals too. The Wendover Arm I went to earlier this year, and also the Buckingham Arm, are big contenders for full reopening, and have got big campaigns quite a long way. Whereas for this railway, alas, not quite, although if I were in charge, there would be shovels on the ground imminently. So I am now atop Blissworth Hill, the main obstacle for the Blissworth Tunnel. And you're probably thinking it's a little flat. But I can assure you, everything around me is slightly tapering downhill, and I mean, from the Blisworth Tunnel entrance, you're immediately going up quite a bit, not like Everest levels, but this would have been quite a march. I think they could have done locks for it, or probably not a cutting. But yeah, this was why they needed the tunnel. So behind me, you can see there's this little stream. I've been following this most of the way down the hill, and in most areas where there is challenging contours, they're able to get streams to flow into and help fill canals and keep them filled. So as this goes to the bottom down here, this probably flows into the Grand Union Canal just as the Blisworth Tunnel ends. And if you can see behind me, just there in the corner there, that little tower, I'm not completely 100% sure what it is, but it most likely is an air vent for the Blisworth Tunnel. It does run under the road just there. There should be a couple of these, although that's the only one I've seen. But yeah, that's for the, especially for when motor powered boats started going under there. They would need something like that, as they did with the original London Underground steam train run lines, for fumes to escape. So it turns out there was another one all along on the Stoke Bruerne side, and here it is in a private farm. And then there is the North Portal here just off of Blisworth, and the canal is now liquid. These are the sorts of channels I was talking about earlier with that stream that will have been fed by the stream up on that hill over there, and then down here into the canal. So around me here with this big warehouse is the other side of the tram road over the Blisworth Hill. This is the Blisworth Inland Port. And so here on former slipways around here, the horses, well, the canal boaters would load up the tram wagons for the horses to take the tram over the hill whilst they transferred to another boat on the other side in Stoke Bruerne. And after the canal tunnel opening, take the canal boat under via legging, and the horse would just go over with luckily no cargo. Well, liquid canal did not last long. Eventually you come along some of the very common canal wildlife, which would have come along earlier if it was not frozen stiff. And then once again, but this time still here, the canal's successor, and in my opinion, the superior mode of transport. So as you can see here, there's a canal to Northampton. I'm here at the Gayton Junction. The canal going along there goes to Northampton. Down from there, from the bridge with the massive bright sunlight, is where I came from. And this is where I'll be going to. So yeah, Blisworth and Northampton behind me, and beyond to Braunston, almost. Not quite going there. So this is the first bit of all sorts of weird crap I saw frozen in the canal. This plank of wood was almost dead flat with the frozen canal surface. I had no idea that things I would be seeing in the canal would get so much weirder than this. So yeah, as you can see, that railway line that came beside us just after Blisworth, it now mimics the canal for quite a way. If you can see here, the sort of staccato nature of the frozen bits. This is clearly where someone has driven through the canal as it was still frozen a few days ago, and it is just refrozen. And if I push down with my foot, I was just doing this now, it's so thick, you could not smash through. So this section of the canal under the shade of this bridge, you'd expect to have kept it cooler so it'd have like even thicker ice, but it's liquid. So here I just worked out this new bridge and new road was built to replace this old dinky thing. Aww. It's so amazing how things like this are still standing, and it's because they build new structures like this that this can keep standing. And by the milestone marker, 15 miles to Braunston, there's a lovely little plaque in honor of an old canal worker. But this is topped out all the other frozen stuff I've seen in the canal. Someone's bloody mattress. It's floated to the top and frozen stiff. Maybe they should do this to prison mattresses. So you make it so far up and you get to another marina here at Buckby. Beyond a little there is the wharf. Behind me there are some stationed canal boats, and beyond there is what awaits toward Braunston. So here, just past Bugbrook, that logo at the top there on that panel, you see that everywhere around here. That is the logo for the Canal River Trust. Now, if you're foreign, you may not know this, if you're British, but the canals are not a government maintained entity, nor are rivers for the most part. So all of the maintenance work done to these lovely man-made waterways that crisscross our island and the naturally occurring rivers that accompany them is down to this charity here. As boaters, we pay a license fee to them twice a year, and then the rest of their money comes from donations, and they do lots of necessary work, such as what was in Stoke Bruerne, lock renewal, and keeping our facilities clean and up to date and working. Well, it looks to not just be the canal that's frozen over, this little lake has also taken a freezing. So are these swans clearly. No, they are moving, they're not frozen in place, luckily. The one little spot they've kept liquid with their body heat. And these beautiful, okay, maybe not the twigs, but beyond these beautiful vistas. It's places like this that make living by the canal so fantastic. On it, so fantastic, because you're not just stuck in one beautiful place. You go from one to the next every few days. Literally frozen while floating. That's almost directly flat on the water's surface. And then that feels something I have not seen in a while. A scarecrow. I remember they were like every story when you're a kid, and then you become an adult and realise they're hardly ever used. Along with these things, the tree phone mast. I remember them being a big thing like 10 years ago, and now this is the first one I've seen in like 10 years. Probably the first scarecrow I've seen in 10 years as well. A bunch of reeds, plants just stuck amongst the ice. And now we're on the southern end of our biggest town today, Beck. This is Stowe Hill Wharf, just by the village of Stowe Hill. And this is where you start to hit the main roads of the Watford Gap. There's still a few there standing on the ice, but most of them, once again, found the liquid under a bridge. I must say, living on the canals now for 6 months, they're everywhere, and I'm always desperate to see a kingfisher or a water vole. But male mallard ducks, with their green heads, are truly majestic. You guys not coming over? That is almost like a mezzanine of ice just resting on the rest of the frozen ice there. And the London North Western Railway train amongst the trees. Now a slightly bigger marina, slap bang next to the rail line, as we finally get in to Weedon Beck. It is the 19th of January as I film this, and Fake Santa is still up with a dog we never knew he had, and is that his daughter? She is too young to be Mrs. Claus, unless Santa now has a mistress. Is that his daughter we never knew about? Looking very menacingly. Regardless, it needs to be taken down. Even by the 5th of January, you need to take your Christmas decorations down. God, the shit frozen in this canal just gets better and better. Someone's neck pillow. Doesn't quite top the mattress though. This is the first mile marker where Braunston's been a single-digit number. We are nearing in, specifically Long Buckby, where I'm getting the train. And as I say that, a train's going by up there. We are well and truly within the Watford Gap, which, if you don't know, is a very small, flat sort of pass. A real stretch for that word, but this is England. But pass between London and Birmingham, where it's extra flat and extra easy to cross. And they fit it all in. We've got the M1, the Grand Union Canal, the West Coast Main Line up on the bank there, and beyond those trees and the railway, the A5, the old Roman road between here and the Midlands. No idea what a hoobaloo is, but they seem to be from Yorkshire. Now this is the first since Stoke Bruerne, not them being iced through, the whole thing's been iced, but a lock. It's been the first one for like 10, 15 miles. Just shows you how flat the Watford Gap is. And also next to lock number 1/5 of the day, I saw this delightful little decorated bench. And yet, there are 2 more. See that in the distance. So it is here, just south of Long Buckby, where I leave the canal behind and walk along this road to the station. And we finally made it, Long Buckby. And it's got this awesome coat of arms on the welcome sign. They've got the shoemaking for Northampton, they've got the canal boat. Although that town it's twinned with, Donville, I've never heard of it. And now I have arrived at the train station to get the train down to Northampton and then walk back home. So I meant to Northampton. And they have got this exhibition. They're trying to find a ticket from Northampton to every other station in the country. This is brilliant. Now, I'm walking alongside the River Nene. Just behind it is the Northampton branch of the Grand Union Canal, which flows into the River Nene. Just east of here, when the river is big enough to take boats. And behind me here is another derelict railway bridge. This one was going from Northampton to Wellingborough, yet another one I would reopen. Oh, you can tell it's the canal again because it's bloody froze, along with ice skating logs and the well and truly stuck reeds and dry grasses. Before they flew off, they were marching in a line along the canal. What you gotta do when you can't swim. I have reached my first lock of the Northampton branch, making my way up to Gayton Junction where I was earlier today. I've got little mosaics. There's also a single door lock, which is very common on much quieter canals like this one. They had one of these mosaics almost every lock up the flight, of which were about over 20, and if I remember correctly, they spelt Northampton on. You can see each one's got a letter in the corner. And all of these mosaics have very artsy canal-related things on them. And the signet here has found the one. Well, it's probably melted as they've just stayed there for hours, laying on what was ice and heated up with their body heat. And now they've got a little pond where they're sleeping. On one of either the great feats or spooks of the canal, the aqueduct. Water running over water, or in some cases, roads. We may be stuck under the M1. They filled it with artwork. They've got the canal for the seasons, with winter on the other side and summer there, and then a bunch of Northampton stuff. Ooh, they had a battle in 1460. Apparently the War of the Roses came this far down, and as we all know, boot and shoemaking, although I only found out from the movie Kinky Boots, and then off into the abyss. And we got another decorated underpass, and one with a massive red canal boat. So I found a metal wire buoy who is behind what I think is the frame of a former canal lock, and then a woman sat with a pail of water. And if it weren't by the motorway, this would be a delightful little park. So as I make my way up to Gayton, I have come along to this. This was put in place when the canal was built so that cows could get from one field to another, because this stupid ass motorway hadn't been built yet. So when it was, this lift was of course no longer in use, but now it has been restored and you can use it again. And we're also making our way up a hefty flight. We've already made it up from there. There's about 10 locks further down from there, and I think 5 or 10 further up. And now I have made it to the end of my journey for today. I do still have to walk home, but here is Gayton Marina by the Gayton Junction, where earlier today I went in the other direction. And along here are various rental boats from the marina, some with stupid names. And now behind me is the Gayton Junction and Blisworth Marina. It is the end of my adventures up the Grand Union from Stoke Bruerne to Long Buckby and down from Northampton. I have been Jack the Intrepid Train Traveller, this time not on a train but instead on a canal, till I got to Long Buckby, then I got on a train. But I will still see you in the next one.